Good evening, everyone. Oh my gosh, man. I'm already an excited guy, but dadgummit, I'm super excited today, man. If I say his name right, hey, bonus points. So thank you all for tuning in. Those on the live stream, Hounds of Business, Friends of the Hounds, and all the amazing people out with Mike King Biz Radio. Got to give Mike King a shout out. Our partnership is amazing. We appreciate you. Going live on Friday. If you're driving around Friday or at your desk, hey, we appreciate you. Mike King Biz 106.1. Yeah, I got it right. ESPN RBA. So let's start this party, man. 30 minutes goes fast. Let's do it and bring up the one and only Chris Ruden.
Are you looking to grow your network and your net worth with other high-level, heart-centered professionals? Then grab a seat and your favorite beverage and join Mike Asherbranner, the Redneck Connector. It's time for the Hounds of Business Community Happy Hour.
All right. Look, the hounds are already popping in. Islam, hey, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Royce, always a pleasure, my friend. And I said it right. Did I? Chris Ruden. Did I get it
You got
right?
it right. You got it right.
Even a blind squirrel catch a nut every now and then, Chris.
Hey, there you
Hey,
go.
hey, I got it. So, how are you today, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
No, my play. This is how special it is. I'm gonna read your short bio so folks know, so we can just dive into who you are, man. You got a lot going on. You're a upstanding guy, and I want people to tap into all the great things you got going on, man. This is what this is about. So let me see. I don't like to read. Everybody knows that, but I can do it when I have to. All right, Chris Ruden is an amputee, type 1 diabetic record holder, power lifter, motivational keynote speaker, author, and disabled model who was featured on The Rock's hit show Titan Games. I remember that. All right. From being humiliated and labeled broken because of his disability to struggling with mental health and living in a non disabled inclusive world, Chris learned to turn his obstacles into opportunities. Now using his badge, you know what, bionic arm, diabe- diabetes technology, and message of, quote, creating your world without limits to impact people around the world. Welcome to the show, buddy.
I appreciate it, man, and I appreciate the
Yeah.
intro. I'm happy to see what I can do for your community and your people today.
You're already doing it because we you were on with and you recognize that voice in the video, the intro video, right?
Yeah, I
The
do.
gr-
I
the one
knew. I had a feeling that was her. So
Oh man, the one and only Tanya Eberhard with Brand Face. We got to give her a shout out. Amazing, amazing people, all heart and top level. Absolutely, man. So I tell you what, let's dive into it because last time we got to talk about your speaking, right? You help keynote speakers and the 10,000 speaking engagements and how to book those, but you're much more than that. So I love this opportunity to get people to know, hey, who are you? What makes you tick? What do you got going on? What inspires you? So let's start it off. And I'm kind of setting you up here, right? That's what I do. But can you share, something particularly challenging moment in your life, right? Pretty much how all this got started and how you turned those obstacles into this opportunity.
I think everyone does share that same message of, like you have the exact same story as me before you even know my story. You went through some stuff, you got over some stuff, and more stuff's coming. Everyone kind of shares that, but you're unique in your perspective and the way you went through it. So for me, I was born with a physical disability. I have a super cool bionic arm now, but
Dude.
I hid my disability for almost 20 years. And when I say that, I mean I almost got arrested at the Washington Monument because I kept my hand in my pocket and they told me to take my hand out and I said no. So they took me in the back room and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm going to
Oh
Guantanamo Bay.
wow.
This is how it ends."
Oh no.
Um yeah. I
That's
bro, I,
dramatic.
I legitimately hid my disability up until I was 27, in my pocket in a glove, and my whole identity surrounded around like how can I hide this thing that I never asked for so I could be accepted by the world, or so I could at least get by. It wasn't about being successful, it was about getting by. How could I survive? And I hid my disability from myself, from the world, from the people closest to me, just so I could avoid the potential labeling that I was already giving myself. I was broken. I was wounded. I was nothing successful because of what life decided to deal me. And how many people get these things, whether it's external, internal things that happen to them, and they're like, man, this is who I'm going to be for the rest of my life. And I accepted that label up until 5 or 6 years ago.
Wow. And again, most folks don't know, right? Was it something at birth? Was it new? So if you don't mind, because I
Yeah,
want people
yeah.
to relate to this. Yeah.
Just so people know, like I was born with the physical disability, and then at 19, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So this is not the iPhone 15. This is a continuous glucose monitor that keeps me
Right.
alive. So while mine was congenital, I talk with people all around the world, whether they have disabilities or not. Everyone has differences that can sometimes make them feel kind of ostracized or feel just disconnected from the world. And it's my job to be
Absolutely.
that person I never really had growing up and help people see their world without limits.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. A lot of pain and trauma you can't see, right? You talk about mental health and you help people through that because it's not just physical, man. A lot of this, whoo, boy, Dr. Phil would have a field day with me, man. Hey,
Same.
we'll get him on the show. Let's see. But, yeah, and look at the comment. Guys on radio, you can't see this. Tanya Eberhardt's popping in. Man, we love you, appreciate you. And Claudia is here. Wow. Yeah, the pack has come out in drones, Chris, because I don't want to spill the beans, but they've already got that book for it even come out. So, hey, I'll put the QR code up there for you guys if you're a straggler. So and I'm gonna ask this question because I love, man, you're just like rubber. Nothing just sticks to you. It bounces off, man. You're cooler than a ceiling fan, Chris. So, you have a lot of descriptions, right? Titles and things. You talk about being an amputee, the power lifter, speaker, author, all these. Which one do you identify with the most and why, man?
I'm just a person, man. I'm just a person who
Um,
uh, I decided that there's no more limits. The limits that I used to accept for myself don't exist anymore, and they never existed because they only existed with the power I gave them. And that's it might sound like some woo woo stuff to a lot of people, but when you hold yourself back for so long, for so many years, and you feel like a shell of a person because of the limitations you created for yourself, and I keep using that word limitation, so I'll make it a little bit more real. When you tell yourself every day you're just not good enough and you can't and you won't and you couldn't and it won't be for you and it might be for some people, but you're not that person, that's it can be traumatic, but honestly, it's so damn annoying to live with your own thumb pressing on your life constantly. So,
yeah,
yeah, I have the author, I have the speaker, and that's how I make most of my money is speaking, but life is more than money. I got the dream car, I got the dream money, I got the dream career, I got all that, but I realize there's a lot more work than just Xing off the box of money. That's part of it. I'd rather cry in a
right,
Ferrari, to be honest. Right now I'm crying in a Porsche. But what happens when you get the stuff? What happens when you make the money? What happens after that? If you're not good yourself, if you don't have the mental health or mental fortitude to be like, I'm good enough without the money, I'm good enough without the business, I'm just good enough, that's where things grow. But it took me
right.
almost 2 decades to get to that point. So it's my job to help people get there.
Hey, birds of a feather flocking together right here, man. Seriously, I tell people, I was like, very few people out there built from dirt or negative dirt, right? Like you don't have anything. You didn't have capital. You didn't have friends or Rolodex. It's tough, but boy, man, it's like what David Goggins talks about, right? Calluses on your hands from working out, calluses in your mind. You start to build resilience, and your track record is a result of that, man. So I think that's awesome. And let's see. I'm racking my brain because I think people want to know this one. I'm getting text now, dude. It's crazy. All right, if you don't mind, walk us through your journey. So you talked about feeling humiliated and labeled broken to become a record holding, right, power lifter. What was the turning point to that? Like, what happened in your head?
Man, I think I talk about this a lot to people who are like, how can I do that? Like, I don't want you to do what I did. I want you to do what you can. I want you to
Right,
like open up just possibilities. And I think the biggest shift for me was going from being certain that I couldn't to being curious as to how I could. Changing from certainty
nice,
to curiosity is such a small, it seems so like a nuance. But really when you go from I can't do that, I don't do that, I'm lazy, I'm this, when you go from certainty into who you have been and you switch that to curiosity as to like how you might be able to do it a little bit differently, that changed everything for me. When I started being more curious as to like, all right, maybe I don't have to keep doing things over and over the same way. Maybe there's a point where I can stop learning the same damn lessons and start doing something slightly different. How many times are you going to relearn the same lessons before you change it up? I got to
Yep.
that how many times, and I'll never forget. I tell this story constantly. There was a little girl I was speaking at an event, and we're walking down this long hallway, and she had just been diagnosed with diabetes, similar to me. Everyone was there to hear me speak, but she grabbed my left hand. She grabbed it, which I was hiding in a glove, and she looked at me and she was like, "It's okay. You don't have to hide around me." And like over 1,000 people were there to hear me speak, but she's the only one who actually like saw me for that moment. She's the
Saw
only
me.
one who actually saw me in that moment. And even when I couldn't see myself. So like I had to ask, if I was good enough for her, why was I not good enough for myself and for the rest of the world? You know, maybe I needed to adapt her mindset, her curiosity, her ability. And I was like, all right, maybe there's something there. And that maybe turned into a business that has given me a life I never thought was possible.
Wow. You said so much in so few words. Something I haven't mastered yet, Chris, but that's okay, right? I
It's
get
all good.
paid to
It's
ask
all
good
good.
questions. I'm a work in progress, but I love that. Yeah, it's like reverse the what if. I think of it like a scientist. You never walk in and see a scientist get mad because the experiment, failed the first time and throw beakers. If you look at like childlike curiosity, is what I heard you say, man, in my own words. It's a powerful thing, and say, hey, there is value, man. We're negative people. I mean, I think most people are born negative. I know I am, and it's great to be inspired by somebody like you who's done that. Right? You just decided to make a change. You're like, well, how? Try something different, right? Keep trying stuff till it works. Right. Oh, and on a fun note, go ahead if you have something to add. 'Cause
Yeah. I mean, I used to think that too. Like we're born negative, but maybe we're not born negative. Maybe we're just born safe. Maybe we're born
nice.
with safety mechanisms that result in negativity, because if you're so negative you don't fail, there's no pain. So sometimes those safety mechanisms do a disservice to us. You
Right.
get sick and your body heats itself up, but sometimes the temperature rise to kill the sickness actually hurts you. So sometimes we're
Yes.
overcorrecting with negativity just to keep us safe. And not everything that is unsafe should not be tempted. It's unsafe to start a business. It's unsafe to ask a person out because they could say no,
Right.
because the business could fail. But just because it could fail, what if it fails? What if it doesn't? What happens if we started asking the other what if? What if things go great? What if things work out? What if this is what you were supposed to do? What if failing 72 times was the start of something great? Let's flip that what if to benefit you instead of hurt you.
Man. Again, this is you're not coming from academia here in theory.
No,
You're a
no.
practitioner. That's what
This
I
is
want folks
practice.
out
This
here
is
to know.
practiced.
This is trial and error, screwing it up, the iceberg effect, the stuff they don't see underneath the surface, right? All the sacrifices you had to go through and self-doubt, right? Just to come out of that. And you speak to that regularly. Do you do that? Do you speak to that so people can relate to you and be inspired? Because you do a lot of things.
Man, I
Is that why you
speak
talk?
on yeah, I speak on three main topics: overcoming adversity, change management, and disability inclusion. So I help people take with what's going on, the situation, and how to optimize it a little bit better, or how to make it not suck as bad. There is a way to be more resilient. There is a way to manage change, because change management legitimately is life management. If you can't manage
Right,
change, you can't manage life. And if you can't become more resilient, that doesn't mean not everyone has to be David Goggins. Not everyone can be David Goggins, but you can be
right.
your own version of like, how do I get through this moment? How can I survive this next step? And in surviving that next step and progressing forward, all steps equal like a larger goal. Whether you're walking to your
Right.
refrigerator or you're doing the Boston Marathon, both require a single step repeated over time. So if you can survive and win those steps, you can win at your own game of life.
Wow. All right, man. So I told y'all, time flies when you're having fun. So let's get to it. I give Mike King a shout out. Mike King, his community out there in Richmond. Hey, you can't see it on the screen, so go to Chris Ruden. All right, so Chris Ruden.com. You can find all his stuff, his brand new book we're about to chat about, all that stuff. We're going to get into it. But wow, thank you for the opportunity, Mike King. And hey, if you're looking for a place, high level heart centered professionals. If you're trying to build your business, grow, whatever, hey, check out the HOB, the Hounds of Business, right? Courage before confidence. All right. So no strays out there. All right. Most people here, You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can send a dadgum carrier pigeon, whatever. Just don't go at it alone. All right. So thank you out there in Radio Land, Mike King. You're the man. So you are with us with Chris Ruden. Man, the guy, he's a modern renaissance man. That's what I think of, right? Because a lot of people are a jack of all trades, but you've mastered several sets and you keep graduating to new adventures, man. I think that's the key. Like you don't have to do anything, but you choose to keep going, right? So you're just do you find that you're just an ambitious guy that's like, hey, like what drives you daily? So you're successful, but is it the people and the inspiration that really keeps you going when things are like, hey, I can just go lay on the beach? Like what keeps you going?
That's a good question, man. And uh, I've set some goals in my life that I thought would never be accomplished. And it's almost nice to always have that goal that never gets accomplished because you're always working towards something. But when I hit like the
Hmm.
675-pound deadlift, you break the record, or you get on the TV show, or you get to the point where you're charging $15,000, $20,000 to keynote speak. I never thought I was going to get 5 grand to speak, let alone where I'm at now. You do have to reset those new goals. And I guess I'm ambitious enough to know that progress keeps people going, and the lack of progress is why people feel stuck. So I know I need to have something to progress towards, but I'm also not so addicted that I can't enjoy the current moment. So, how do you find that
Yeah.
balance between needing to progress and not being addicted to the idea of more? Because more is not a place. You can never reach more. And if you're always moving the goalpost, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But if you're always creating a new goal, that's great. There's a space between addiction and progress, and you have to find what that means for you.
Wow. See, there's just so much here. And I love the fact that I don't have to talk. Right. People come here to hear you, man. So, oh, by the way, just a fun thing because you talk about just coming up with things and ideas, asking yourself, challenging yourself to be and do. I don't scroll on YouTube and stuff, but I seen Anatoly. Did you see he's 177 pounds, elite power lifter. Have you seen
Oh
that?
yeah,
We have
yeah,
to talk
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing, it's fun, and again, you see that and watch it, but guys, go out there and do it. Go out there and find what makes you special and go capitalize, go work through that, man, it's unbelievable. So everybody wants to know this. You competed on Titan Games, right? With The Rock, right? Dwayne Johnson. So what was that experience like, man? How did it impact your career and your trajectory?
Man, so at the time I was still doing my thing. Like I was still moderately, I would say to myself in my own regard, successful in what I deem success. So I was still building on social, I was still doing my thing, but I had made that video about like showing authentically, like taking my glove off for the first time. At that time, no one had seen my hand, and I hid it pretty much from myself as well. I always wore a glove or kept it in a pocket. I made that video, and it overnight went viral, hit 7 million views, and all of this stuff led to it. But part of what
Wow.
led to that was The Rock's team reaching out to me and saying, "We want to have you on a TV show." And they wanted to do a casting, at night. And I was like, "I'm not taking no clothes off or nothing weird. I don't know what kind of stuff
Right.
LA's got going on. That's not me. That's not for me, you know." But
That's right,
luckily I
G-rated.
got to, yeah, yeah. They luckily had me keep my clothes on, and I was like, "All right, cool. I like where this is going." And I got an invite to compete against a bunch of other people. 200,000 plus people applied to be on this show, and I got asked to try out. I tried out and I was like, that was incredible, but I'm just a power lifter, I lift heavy weights one time and I walk away. I ended up
Right.
making it on the show with 30 other people, 15 guys, and got to be part of this whole production and crew. And I competed. I ended up losing my episode, but The Rock came down and hugged me, and I got to share a message that impacted who knows how many people. So I'm very fortunate. It was a lot of fun to be around someone who I have action figures of growing up. And yeah, I got to see the behind the scenes of what some of the best in the world do. And I think that was an experience I'll take to my grave.
I'm blown away by the compound effect, right? The Rock does what he does through his life. You get on his show, right? You get to participate in that series. And the compound effect of that is all these other lives being changed by your example and your what you offer, right? The books and the speaking and just the inspiration itself. I mean, it's just wild to think about that, right? And you're blessing people like me who are blessing other people. And sometimes we'll never know. We'll never know, but you're building a legacy, my friend. And that's what drives me every day. So let's get into it because we only got about 7 minutes. You have a couple things. No doubt you're a renowned keynote speaker, but tell us about how you help other folks become, a great speaker, how they get gigs, and also your book. So Yeah, because they're going nuts. They're wanting to know how. So
So
chrisruden.com. All right, that's the best way to go. Go ahead, Chris.
yeah, I've spent the last 7 years building my own speaking business, and there's not much out there now. You're starting to see a little bit more of it, but when I was first starting, no one really told how to become a keynote speaker. If anything, that was like to my mom. She still thinks it's a fake job. You know, I used to get in trouble for speaking, and now I get paid to do it. And she's like, I don't understand what you do. I'm like, Mom, neither do I, honestly. So, but apparently there's other people who want to figure out how to do this. So I told myself I would never help other people become speakers until I got to a certain level. And for me, that level was a monetary goal and a feeling of like, I did it, I made it, you know? Once I got there, I had a
Right.
few people reach out to me. I'd love to learn how to speak. I was like, I think I could help you. I tested with a few people and I found out that it works. Now I have a few more people that I private coach. Eventually, I'd love to do more coaching and courses and all that. But right now, I love helping the selected people that I know I can help go from not six figures in speaking to six figures in speaking with specific processes, whether it's messaging and marketing to the actual business component of building a speaking business. So, love doing that. In the process, I've also written books. This is my second book that officially launches September 4th, which happens to be tomorrow. Some people already got their copies, but I'm super excited. You already got your copy. Super cool. I
Yep.
appreciate that. That is it
Don't tell
over a
nobody.
year's worth of work and a lifetime worth of mistakes and feeling stuck to figure out what are the real questions we should be asking ourselves to get unstuck and manage change effectively, whether it's change that happens to you or change that you need to be the catalyst for. That could be a job, a relationship, a life change. Maybe you've done things the same for so long and you want to completely change, or you want to add a new element to your business, or you want to add a business. It doesn't matter what it is. Change is a common part of life. But if you don't manage it, it'll manage you. So I help people manage the process of change itself.
Yeah. Who is your book, your services, and all, the speaking? Who are they for? Is it for entrepreneurs? Is it for folks? Like, who is it? Who's a great, like, hey, I'm stuck and I'm looking for a book. Who should buy it?
Man, I used to think maybe this is for more organizations, maybe this is more for entrepreneurs, maybe this is for the everyday Joe. It's not for everyone. It's definitely not the Walmart approach. It's for people who are willing to listen and understand that they might need a change in a part of their life. Organizations are made up of individuals, and individuals get stuck. We all get stuck at times, and stuck doesn't always show itself in the same way. It's not always like, oh wow, I feel stuck right now. It's more so like, I feel like giving up. I feel like I can't go forward. I feel like I feel. And what this book helps people do is distinguish that feelings are not facts. And even though you feel like you're stuck, or you feel like you can't keep going, or you feel like nothing can move forward, maybe you can, because maybe that feeling is not indicative of a fact of where you actually are. I'm helping people be more honest with themselves and others and more accountable with themselves and others so that they can get to the point where they can lead other people. And by living by example, not just leading by example, you help sustain change in the right direction. I truly believe you can be a lighthouse or a tugboat. You can go out there and help yourself and help other people manually and trying to help one person at a time, and I've done that for so long, but it can be exhausting. If you're constantly trying to help your customers and constantly trying to help people get better, you're doing it manually. But when you learn to be more of a lighthouse and stay in one position and help the masses and help more people, you don't have to risk yourself every time and burn yourself out. You can do it a slightly more optimized way so that you can change the way you do it and change the way the world receives that message. All of that is in my book, and it doesn't have to be complicated or overwhelming. We can break it down to the compound effect, or 1 degree difference over time makes the world of a difference. There's a specific process for that, and I give that to you in this book.
Oh yeah, so I just got mine. I was cracking it open, but the Hounds, they've already got theirs, man, and they are running just crazy on this thing. So everybody in Radio Land here on the live stream, scan that QR code, right? You're hearing it. This is for people. This is for people who are ambitious and want to be somebody and do something special. That's what I heard. That's the hillbilly rendition of what Chris so eloquently said. But hey, I get stuck a lot because I do a lot, right? I'm in new territory. And the mindset is how I'm either going to give up and never realize it, or I'm going to move forward. So, Chris, I can't wait to dive into this. So, while folks are scanning the code, folks in Radio Land, chrisruden.com, RUDEN, chrisruden.com. Check that out. let me ask the final question. I mean, we got to have you on the Hounds of Business show. We could talk for 10 hours on that thing, man. Because there's so much more to unpack. But and folks in the comments, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being so supportive. Chasen, we see you, brother. HR4U, a fantastic organization based out in New York. All right. So there's a lot of people out there, like you were just saying, they're stuck or they feel down, they don't feel good about themselves. You know, what keeps a lot of folks stuck, in general, and what you see in your business? But what is a little baby step? What's the best advice or example to help just take that baby step to a life of fulfillment and impact, man?
Uh, Closer to the start of my book, I put it there for a reason. There's a concept: change your language, change your life. I truly believe language is what keeps people stuck the most. Language is what ruins relationships, it ruins businesses, it ruins goal setting and action plans. If you believe incorrect language, you are going to get incorrect outputs. Similar to, you could understand Chat GPT or any sort of AI. If you put the wrong question in, you can't be upset at the wrong answer. If you're so busy playing tennis and you wonder why you're not getting better at basketball, I'm not a sports guy, but I know those are two different things, you know? The
Right.
problem is if you believe things like, oh, I'm lazy, I never finish anything, I am not destined to be great, this is what I am. It's not that you are lazy, it's that you have a habit of maybe being lazy in the past, but that's not who you are, it's who you used to be. By using honest, correct language, we can say, I have been lazy in the past, but it's not who I have to be moving forward. By using honest and true language, you give yourself a chance to change. You give yourself a chance to be who you could be instead of who you have been. And language inputs, if you put so many inputs a million times over and over and over and over, you're going to start to believe the dishonesty. You're going to start to believe the feelings over the facts. Give yourself a
Right.
chance by being honest and ask yourself, is what I'm telling myself true, or is it the base level honesty sprinkled with the feelings that I have from the years of hard work or the years of struggle?
Man, did y'all hear that? Ain't that unbelievable? That's the truest thing I ever heard. And I just discovered I'm 43 and just really understood that about January, man. So I'm coming to a party you've been at for a few years now, and encourage everyone. That's why we exist. That's why we do this show. That's why Chris is putting this book out. These are resources. These are guideposts to help you along that journey. No more of this "I'm not good enough" stuff. And look, he's living proof. If we can get our minds right, if we can dare to dream and try to do something, we can make an impact in stuff that drives us nuts, insecurity, homelessness, right? We can do some stuff. And that's what we stand for, Chris. That's what you're all about, my friend. So thank you for walking the walk, not just talking the talk, man. So I know the Hounds is going nuts, inspired the people in Richmond. I know they're feeling this. So everybody make sure you go to chrisruden.com. All right, check out all the good things. Get this order. Is the book out now or is it still a pre-order? It's out now, isn't
So
it?
the book is technically out now. It's supposed to be first orders going out tomorrow, but some people have been lucky enough to get some early drops from my publisher. I'm so thankful that you were able to get one as well.
Oh,
But
special.
man, it's not about buying all these millions of books and being rich and all that. It's what impact can you put out in the world? And I truly believe if someone reads this book and they're hurting, they're feeling like they need a change, this is the start and a specific framework on how to do that, step by step, broken down into little chunks so you can make that change that you need or want in your life.
And the best way to learn is from somebody who's done it and
That's right.
continues to do it, and that's you, my friend. So, hey, thank you for taking the time out today to be here to help us, inspire us. Hey, man, I'm honored. So, thank you, Tanya Everhart, for the introduction to Chris. And man, we'll have to have you back on. We got to have you coming
I'd
back,
love to,
brother.
man.
So,
I'd love to.
oh, they're going crazy. So everybody, I appreciate you. Hey, next week, tune in again, same time, same channel. We're going to have the one and only Christopher Salem. All right, highly ranked guy, down to earth, man. See, now look what happened. I got a chain reaction. We got Chris, and now Chris
There we
Salem
go.
wants to come on. Man, now we might have some. Who else can we get? Hey, let's just keep reaching for the star. If you reach for the stars, you might grab a tree branch, dadgummit, right?
That's
Go
it.
all in. All right, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you, Hounds. Thank you, everyone. Richmond, Mike King Biz. Appreciate you. We'll see you next week. All right. Courage for confidence. Make something happen. Thank y'all for stopping by. Be sure to follow, share, and like, and send me a message if you had fun today. Y'all come back now.